Well, hello boys and girls. Welcome to our little shop. Today we have one of these interesting little stories, and I see this happen a lot. This one just happens to be a case of a customer ordered a new Martin D28 from a pretty well-known facility. Decided he was having some problems with it, talked about sending it back to them. They discussed how much it would cost him to ship it. Then they referred him to his closest authorized Martin warranty center. The owner also informed me that this guitar had been sent back to the dealer originally as soon as he received it because the pickup didn't work, and they replaced the pickup and then sent it back to him. Well, it ended up at the warranty center. The guy said he drove a few hours to take it to the center for the technician to look at, and tech looked over and says, well, I don't see that you have any problems here. It should be a warranty issue. The owner was complaining about the sound of the pickup. He said he has another Martin with a different system in it of Martins, but this is supposed to be better, but still not as good as what I was getting before. It had a couple rattles, so that was something else he was concerned about, but he was pretty much told there was nothing that should or could be done about it. So he brings it in here, and we get looking at it. He's telling me his problem, and he's actually already bought another pickup system to put in it, which I told him I would do whatever he wanted to do. I said, but it has the Martin system in it. It's going to have to be cut up and the jack stuff removed from the battery pack on this one to make the new one work. And I thought, like I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do on it, but I would really recommend that we make what he has originally work properly to start with, because tell me the pickup, although it worked and sounded okay through a guitar amp, sounded horrible through a PA. Well, I've checked it out here after he left, and actually I pulled it apart while he was here, because while he was telling me the symptoms that he had, the little wheels were rolling in my head telling me what the problem was. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. But I actually plugged it in here a while ago and was checking it out and verified what I said earlier to him about the saddle not being cut properly, because I could press down on the saddle at various points and change the way the pickup was working hugely. So let me get hands free here from this camera for a minute, and we'll try to explain to you the things that I explained to him when he brought the guitar in. Okay, for one thing, he said he really wasn't concerned about the playability of the guitar, even though I had set up some other guitars for him. He liked the way he played, said that he really didn't have too much problem with the way it's played, but he was more concerned about the pickup. And I said, well, that's too bad, because like I said, I found out that the guitar had a back bow in it. It's actually got a pretty good back bow here in the neck, where I would like to see about 4 thousandths to 5 thousandths relief in this neck. It probably has that much back bow. Now he thought that might be because he changed the strings, because Martin usually ships these, he thought, with lighter strings, and he uses a medium. Well, no, that would have made his relief better. So I'm going to detune this real quick and start showing you what we ran into. The nut is too high. That's why the neck is too straight. The nut is still, with the neck being too straight, is still measuring roughly 2 to 3 times as high as it should. The bridge saddle is just about the right height. But like I say, everything else being wrong, that's not an issue at this point. So, I noticed this first thing when I started taking strings off of it the other day when he brought it in. Take the strings loose. The B, G, and D strings stayed stuck in the nut. See? So I asked him, so you having any tuning problems? He says, well, they click a little bit. So anyway, that D string sticks pretty good. Now, moving to the problem at hand, let's look down here. I told him, I said I was really curious to look at this bridge saddle because everything he was describing to me usually comes from a poorly cut bridge saddle. So when you look at this bridge saddle, it's actually concave cut this way. It's not flat. First rules with any piezo type bridge pickup, the saddle has to be perfectly flat. Well, this one's not. Not only is it not flat this way, it's crooked this way. This explains why when I pressed on the top of it, it would change the response of it. It couldn't seat properly. So the first thing we're going to do is flatten this out like it's supposed to be and square it up. Then we're going to put the relief in the neck that we're supposed to have. Then we're going to refit the saddle for the bridge height that we need. Then we're going to recut the nut slots to get the action proper on it. And I'll bet that all his pickup problems go away. So let's see what happens. A couple other problems here he had mentioned was it had some buzzing. Well, like I say, well, first of all, we had a backbone and neck. Second buzz I found was the high E string was buzzing in the nut slot because it wasn't cut to right angle. The third buzz, and the one that really bothered him, he said sounded like it's coming from the sound hole. Hear that? It's the volume control for the preamp rattling. So we're going to remount it. I mean, that's pretty obvious. So we can get rid of that rattle for him too. Alright, well, we have the bridge saddle fitted finally where it's supposed to be. Like I said, we've got the neck adjusted, we've got the bridge saddle cut. In the meantime, we found another rattle. It's a mount for this over here for the volume and tone controls. This one over here is a balance control. So we're going to have to remount this volume and tone here too. It's annoying. I noticed when I was tuning it up that the low E, if I pulled up on it, buzzed. So that's this little guy. Next, we're going to do the nut. Then we're going to get back to this. Another tool. Anyway, something else I want to mention here to you. We talk about these bridge saddle pickups a lot, and here's something that's always a helpful tip for you. Anytime you change strings, or the guitar's been setting, especially after you've changed strings and retuned, go through and push down between each pair of strings with the back of a ballpoint pen. Sometimes you'll actually hear a click or a pop when the bridge saddle seats in place. This is all done off pressure. So this is why it's so important for that bridge saddle to be perfectly flat and square so it seats on top of that pickup. It has to have intimate contact. Important. Take note. So there we go. An hour and 20 minutes later, we have a brand new Martin D28 taken care of. Like I say, we straightened up the saddle, fitted the bridge pins, adjusted the neck, got rid of all the rattles from all the electronic stuff that's hanging around. Recut his nut, even took the sharp edges off the top corners here that Martin leaves on the nuts. Those kind of bug me. Tightened up his tuning keys. He actually had a few tuners that were loose. Tightened up his strap button. Tightened up this battery pack jack strap button assembly back here that was all loose and rattling. I think we've got them all taken care of. Now, to reiterate, this was a brand new Martin from a very high-end store in Kentucky. It was ordered. The owner had discussed sending it back to them. And they decided the shipping was going to cost him too much because he was responsible for shipping both ways. Then they referred him to an authorized Martin service center. So he drove to them. It was deemed that there was nothing warranty related to take care of. So it ends up in my lap. So we fixed all the aforementioned problems. So, for those that wonder why I am so busy, there's your answer. So like I say, there you go. There's just another story. And we threw in a little tip on the saddle fit for you too. So, until next time, play nice. I'll see you later.